So I started trading when I was in middle school, so probably I had to be
Wow,
like 14 or 15. Um,
crazy.
so I've been doing it for as long as I can remember.
What do you do? You have your own company? You work for a firm?
Yeah, so I have a company called Trading Experts with a partner of mine who I met at a proprietary trading firm. So a lot of people think
Nice.
of that as like when you think of Wolf of Wall Street, like everyone's screaming and yelling. One really was the complete opposite. It was like you could hear like a pin drop. It was so quiet, when like the bell rang. So we met there. We were day traders for a couple of years, and eventually, there's like two paths for a prop trader. One, the more common path is that you just blow up your account because you pass a test and then they're like, okay, well, here's $1 million of the firm's money, go trade it. But if you're wrong and lose money, we're going to take it out of your own money. But if we make money, we're going to split it with you. So most people, when you're new, you give them someone $1 million, they're all going to make another million, but they end up losing it much quicker. So that was the route that most traders took at our firm. For my partner, he was just like a phenomenal trader. And then for me, I had a few other businesses at the time, so I didn't have to put so much pressure daily to make money. I was just there to kind of learn. And then as the years progressed, we both kind of reconnected and we wanted to figure out a way to teach traders because we saw so many professionals failing every single day. We would sit next to them, and then the next day they didn't come in. We knew they just were like they were fired. There was no sick days. So we started to go back and look at all of our trades, and 99% of our trades were day trades, and those were the least profitable. Yet our biggest winners, the trades that made our entire year, were all of our swing trades or our longer term trades. So we've tried to set up a program that would teach traders from the beginning what they should start learning first and then work their way up, when most new traders tend to do the opposite. They try to build the roof of the house first. They want to find
Yeah.
they can start trading without building the foundation or building up like their trading education first. So we try to fix that problem, and we created a company called Trading Experts, and it's been going on for almost 5 years now.
Crazy. And you guys, what, you offer a course? Do you have in person? What do you do?
Yeah, so it's a 6-step process. The first three, like you can't join our program and like pay. You have to join for free first. It kind of weeds out the people that say they want to do it and then they don't. So we have the first 3 steps, getting started. It's a free program. They can download. We have an app on the App Store. They go through that first program. They complete it. They move up to what's next, which is the next program. They complete that. They move on to our semi-SART program and they complete that program. After they complete those 3 steps, then we can talk about them potentially joining. And there's still more steps before they can get into, like most people see our alpha chat, which is our main chat. Last year, our group, we had a goal to make about 5 million. We cleared about 2.5 in that group of traders. And we're still aiming for that same $5 million goal this year. But again, most people, they'll DM us like, we want to get in the alpha chat. And it's like, well, hold on, there's 6 other steps. It's going to take you a few months at best to get into there. You can't just buy your way in. You have to work your way in. So we've established that process to make the person build that foundation properly versus just jumping in and starting to trade.
Oh, 100%. Why do you do it like that? Why don't you let them jump in straight away?
Because where me and my partner Shake met at our trading firm, that was how everyone started. Was you just jumped right in. You had this $1 million account of the firm's money. You could day trade. There was no PDT. You could do whatever you want. You had free reigns to trade any index, any stock, any option, any future, anything you want to do, you have at it. And what we saw was within 3 months, 96% of people were gone. Within a year, 99% were gone. So it was just like me and my buddy Shake, say there's a class of 20 traders, me and Shake would make it a year later, but those other 18 seats were different people. And it was just a constant rotation of these people leaving where you couldn't even like go to lunch with them because you knew in a week or two they wouldn't be there. So we just saw like that gambler's mentality of jumping in too fast, where we took the slower approach, which would probably slow down our business because we only are looking for a certain person who's willing to put in the effort first. Where you look on like Wall
Yeah.
Street Bets or like Stock Twits, and those guys are just going to put up horrible trades, and there's millions of those people. But I don't want to deal with those people on a daily basis. I want to deal with the people that want to focus on learning every day, improving every day, and putting on proper trades. So
Yeah,
we've
deal with your
intentionally made
tribe.
those. Yeah, so we've made those hurdles intentional to kind of weed out the people that we don't want. We don't want the gamblers. We want the real traders.
Yeah, 100%. Similar, I'm doing in Forex. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. But I'm very new. I'm trading now for almost 3 years.
Okay.
3 years. Before I was just sales, marketing all my
Mhm.
life. It's a big change. I was just fed up with all the corporate bullshit and everybody's screwing everybody over and all that
Mhm.
shit. So I was like, man, there is nothing else to do than, trading Forex that I can do it on my own. Nobody else needs to,
Mhm.
have zero input. But then, the struggles.
Yeah, you have that's the two sides of the coin is you have the freedom. You if you are good, you can make as much as you want. But there's also the downside where whatever you're starting with, you more than likely can lose or will lose at some
Yeah.
point. And those are those struggles. So you can't have the with the corporate world, it's like, you're going to get paid. You just got to be there for that amount of time. Or for this, you have to put in even more time, but it's kind of at your own free will. And that's kind of like those trade-offs that most traders lean towards this profession for that reason.
Of course, and it's much different if you have to do something that you don't want to do to get where you want to get,
Mm-hmm.
really, versus you have to do something you don't want to do to get where you don't really want to get. You know,
Yeah.
the school educational system and stuff like that. I think that's how it's wired up. So that's why it doesn't produce so much of good results.
One of our big emphasis is a focus on reading. And just like you mentioned with, the education system, you know, if you think of something like you're interested in Forex, we're interested in stocks, it's very easy for us to learn more and dig deeper into topics that we have interest in. So even
Yeah,
for our members and even for your members, it's like when you're interested in Forex or stocks, it's easy to go down that rabbit hole and find books on Forex, find books on stocks. If a person likes to sell on Amazon, you can find those different books and those topics that interest you. And it's so much easier to get into that and learn more versus when you're forced to read about,
yeah.
whatever topic that you don't interest. It's hard to be motivated to learn more and get into it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm all about self-education, man. I think that what people are doing mostly wrong in their life is like, tell me if you agree. First, they go chase the money, then they try to figure out what they really like to do. Or the more common is, hey, let's see what makes money, let's go do that. But
Mhm.
then they're all, crazy about how everything is shit and how they are feeling bad, not even thinking about that they're doing something they don't want to do just to get paid, never getting good enough to be,
Mhm.
even compensated for all that struggle to even say, hey, okay, fuck it, it's at least worth it, So it's
Mhm.
just that rat race versus if they would just go and say, hey, I can, I will find something I really like to do and then become so good at it that people are going to pay me,
Mhm. Yeah, no,
right?
I agree. I think with certain people, even if you think of, if you put 100 people in a room, you're not going to have 100 business owners. You're going to have,
Of course.
a few, a small percentage of those people. For the bigger crowd, they're going to have to do something else to bring in money in the interim. And I think for especially a lot of younger guys, there's this rush, at least DMs that we get, where it's like, I want to quit my job and become a trader. And it's like, well, hold on, because if you're making 60K a year doing something that maybe you don't love, but that money's coming in, if you have like $1,000 account or whatever insert amount of money that you think you're going to start with, it's going to be very difficult to replicate that same 60,000 or whatever the income is right off the bat. So for us, it's like you might have to do something you don't like. Like when I worked in the city as a trader, I'd have to get up at 4 a.m, take the bus into Manhattan, hop on the subway, take the subway downtown, get out of the subway, walk 10 blocks to the office, get there at like 6:45 when most of my buddies would wake up at 9 and I'd already be up for 2 hours. And that wasn't fun to do for a couple of years, but I had to do that to learn, to get that experience as a trader. Where I think, if first you have to build up that amount of money that can really support whatever your, daily lifestyle is before you can make that crazy plunge. Again, most people, you've done it, I've done it, and we've all done it differently, but I think a lot of guys try to rush in too quickly. And that's why so many fails because, and even for our firm, that's all those people were, is they had no other source of income. It was, they had to
Yeah.
produce that day to make money. They had to make $1,000 a day to be at that firm. But if you didn't know what you were doing, you couldn't make that $1,000. You could lose the 1,000 or lose 5,000 in a snap, but to actually make the 1,000 and lock it in and then go home was the hard part. Where, like for me, for example, I had the trading, I had an Amazon business, I had a limousine and an exotic car rental business. So I didn't have to there wasn't a gun to my head to make $1,000. It's like these other places are going to make me money, and this is like an added bonus. And again, not everyone's going to have that opportunity. Everyone's situation is different, but our main focus is always on trading being an added source of income than replacing it with something else. Where if you have a
100%.
salary job, for us, I'm not sitting in front of a computer 8 hours a day. I'm doing my game planning after the market closes or before the market opens. So I'm not trying to rush into things. I'm putting in my orders when those orders trigger. I'm putting in my stop losses. So if the trade fails, it just gets me out without me having to make an emotional decision. And I can go on with my day and do other things. And that's been a big focus for our members, where out of all of our members, I can think of maybe 2 of them that trade full time. And the other 99% all have full-time jobs or running a separate business or doing something else on top of this. It's not like this is the only way to make money. This is just like an additional way to bring in more, more income. Back of, again, I started at 15. I'll be turning 30, so I'm a little younger than you. Over those 14 or 15 years, there's been financial crisis. We've had the flash crash. We've had what we've been going on now. So there's a lot of those periods where before that, it was very easy. The last 2 years of the market were the easiest we've ever seen, whereas anything you bought, you made money. So you get these periods where it might be a little different Forex, but at least in the market, where it brings the whole crowd in. It gets very easy for a year or two, and then right at the end, when everyone's in, they pull the rug.
Yes.
So a year or two's worth of work can get wiped out in like a month, and that's what deters so many people. And that's why for us, we're just constantly like we're focusing on like our stop losses. So, we're gonna, like, I caught some pain in the recent correction that we had, but then you look 2 months later, and a lot of those names have rebounded where, short term or interim, I had to sit through some, open losses. But then once they bounce back, I can still get out of them. Where if I think back myself 5 or 10 years ago, I would have panicked into this drop. Yes. Where now it's like, no, I've seen this a couple of times already. This is no big deal to me. Yeah, for a month or two, I'm going to sit. I'm going to look at some red on my screen. But I know eventually the names that I'm buying are going to come back, and they will. It just take some time. But those things that the person who just starts doesn't have the patience or the understanding that the market has to move up and down. It can't just grind up every day. Every trade can't just work, because if it did, there wouldn't be a market. It wouldn't be an investment. It would just be, something ultra conservative.
Yeah. But like, I think it's all about discipline, right?
Yeah. On the discipline thing, that's why, like, when we hammer in a lot of these lessons, the one big thing is, even for me, is I use buy stops and sell stops. So that means that I'm putting in an order saying I'm willing to buy, Disney at above 108, but that's it. If it never goes above 108, I don't want to buy it. It could be at $100 right now, and people are like, why do you want to buy 8 points higher? Because I'm looking at the chart. I know that through 108, it should go higher, and that's when I want to get in. And then when it goes through 108, if it goes back down through 106, clearly I'm wrong. I'm going to get out. I'm not going to wait till it goes into 100 to realize that I'm out and take a much bigger loss than necessary. So that was a big shift, where initially when I started, when I was like middle school, high school, even through college, I would have these very small winners, 5% gain, 10% gain, really lucky 15% gain, but very quick to sell the winners. And all the losers lose 30%, lose 40%, lose 50%, lose 80%. That game, you can never succeed. It's just the numbers aren't there. The main lesson learning as a prop trader was just cutting those losses immediately. So even looking back, like my last year, my worst realized loss this year was a 5% loss. But and everything else was either break even, 1%, 2%, like very minimal losses. There was a lot of them, but they're very little, 1%. You can make those back very quickly. But on the upside, I don't have 1% winners. It's 5% gain, 6% gain, 10%, 20. We had guys with a few 50% gains this week. But so that's where we can. The losses, we're going to have losses. Trades are going to fail. 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 are going to be failed trades. But if you're breaking even or losing 1%, and then those winners are 5, 10, 15, 20%, it just adds up. You're getting a lot of that.
The power of average always works.
Yeah, so we're striking out, but it's not that costly. And then when we're hitting the ball, we're hitting doubles, we're hitting triples, but we don't care about the Grand Slams. The Grand Slams will come, but it's going to be twice a year, 3 times a year, if you're putting on enough trades. So our buddy Carl just put up, he's up like 400% in MNRA, but he's been in it for like 6 months. And this was like his Grand Slam trade of the year. Like this is like his best trade of the year, where his next trade isn't going to be another 500% trade. It'll be a 5% trade or 10%. But he was in the game enough. He took enough at bats that he now caught this big one. And now his eyes are open that, okay, I can make 500% in name. And it will take me maybe 6 months or a year. And I have to buy at a certain price. I have to be willing to give it this much room to get that return. And these are a lot of those lessons that it just takes time in the market to learn. You can't, that's why even for our program, we don't let anyone demo trade. We take them through the education of what they need to know before they can trade. And then once they've gone through those first 6 steps, it's time to start trading, because they have to learn those mental mistakes. Because when you're demo trading, it's very easy to put up like a crazy $10,000 day with $1 million account, but that person doesn't have $1 million to begin with. So it's like false hope. So then when they start with $1,000, they want to replicate that same gain. So they have to find the riskiest investment humanly possible to try to replicate that. So we try to get rid of that immediately and just have them start with an amount of money that they're comfortable with. And get your first $10 day, then your $100 day, then the $500 day, then your combo day, your first 1,000. Okay, you got your first combo day. Probably took you a year to get to that point. Your next combo day is going to probably come much sooner than that. And one of our buddies, Kevin, it took him a year to get his first combo day, and he had 3 this last month. So it was a year of him grinding for this first goal of $1,000 in one day. And once he got to that point, he built his account up. I think he has about 25,000 in his account. It took him the year to get there. He got his first $1,000 day. He's now comfortable with it, and now he's at 3 of them. And it's okay. Well, now the next goal is 2,000, and then 5,000, and then 10, and so on and so forth. But that first very slow process, and then it starts to build. But most people tend to quit just as it starts to peak up a little bit. And that's with anything in life. It's not just trading. It's any business, any sport, any
Across the
activity.
board, all the same.
Everyone tries it, quits, and the guys that push through, they're the ones who make it.
100%. What would you say, bro, is the number one thing that made you successful?
I think just being consistent. I think just like that last little point, it's like, I've been doing this for 15 years. It's just doing it every single day. I've scanned the Dow 30, I've scanned the major sectors, I've scanned the SP every single day for years on end. It's just a daily routine. And, you talk to a lot of new traders. What are you looking at? I'm looking at the SPY. It's like, okay, well, you're not going to trade the broad market. You're going to trade individual names. So look a little bit deeper. There's 500 names underneath that umbrella of the S&P. If you look through all 500, you'll find at least one trade idea. I don't care where the market is. There's at least one setup. And that's what we do.
100%.
I'm doing that. My partner's doing that. And same with all of our guys in Alpha Chat. Everyone is scanning the market every single day. So if I might miss something, Carl might pick it up, or Shake might find something, or maybe we'll all find the same name. We all like it. And then we're all buying Yeti through 32 together. So it's just being consistent and looking every day for those opportunities. Eventually you'll find them. It just takes some time.
That's so good. That's like music to my ears. I have now like around 35 guys that get mentored by me. They start trading for us, and then we give them 100K trading account, and they work their way up in the company. And one of the biggest thing why they are losing, the ones that are, is just over leveraging, man, not being consistent. Just like it's like the devil takes over, and at just some point, constantly 0.5% risk. We're trading for 2 months, everything's perfect. Experienced traders. I don't deal with new guys. I only take in semi-pro or pro. But man, like when it's go time, consistency always catches them. Either they get too excited or just lose 2-3 trades in a row and they try to make it up.
Yeah. And that's something, again, we're in different spaces. So for Forex, you need leverage because you're trading on much smaller increments, where for us, again, it's very easy to use leverage, but that's like one of our rules. Like, we don't let anyone use margin. There's no leverage. We only let them invest with what they have to invest with. And it's going to be a slower process than someone who can just jump in with more. But we're not looking for someone to just trade for the next year. We want to set them up where if they leave trading experts, and some do, is that they're set up where they can trade on their own. And if they're, coming to us when they're 25, they're going to be in the market for the next 40, 50 years. And we still have members that are later in life, retirement, in their 50s. And a lot of them, they're like, if only we got into this program sooner. Unfortunately, the 50-year-old guy, I wouldn't have been born yet if he wanted to get it when he was 25, so that wouldn't have been possible. But we're trying to set up these guys where they know how to set their 401ks. I know it might be a little bit different overseas, but these are like retirement plans for employees here with their IRAs. We're showing them ways where they can trade in different accounts where they don't have to pay taxes, and they can defer those taxes for decades on decades. And even you can be a very subpar or average trader, but if you're trading in a tax-free and tax-deferred account, and you want to say, like, I'm a professional, and you put me in a taxable account, you're probably going to make more money than me because you're not going to be paying taxes on that money, where I'm going to have to pay on percentage
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the year. So there's a lot of these little loopholes where, okay, we don't have to worry about the leverage, but we'll save you on taxes, and then we're going to defer those gains for decades forever. So those are a lot of those things where, again, we're in different spaces. You're in Forex, we're in stocks. So we'll have different views on certain topics, but the same thing, it all boils on the same stuff, to just be consistent.
Same stuff, man. What is the advice you would give to an upcoming businessman?
I think the main thing is to give first. I'll get like 5 DMs a day of people that will hit us up with like some type of deal, like they want to like work with us.
Yeah.
And you read like, and you probably get the same DMs too. And it's always the same like paragraph story. And it's always like, I. Like me DMing you, like, I need this. Can we do this? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like very off-putting. Where if they just flipped it and they're like, hey, GA God, I want to help post your interviews on my social media page and share it around and get you some more viewers. If I can do this, this, and this, then could you potentially do this in exchange? So I'm willing to do something first for you beforehand, and then I'll ask something down the road. Most new people or new business owners do it reverse. It's like me first. And even for our business, that's why we have like the first 3 programs, our app, the emails, the videos, a lot of this stuff. It's like, we're going to send it out for free first. You'll be with us for 3 or 4 months for free. We're never going to ask you to join. We're going to say you can't join because we want to give you something for free first. And then if you are really interested, you're going to you'll want to join. And that's the big flip for a lot of new guys or new business owners, is they want to benefit themselves first. And unfortunately, that's not how a real business should work. You should help the client or the prospect or the customer first, and then get paid later.
Yep. And, but like, I think you and me, we learn this from experience, or you can learn this from growing up in a certain type of environment. For me, I know I learned this just from sales. You have to give something in order to get. I always use the same thing, but I say, not give back, give forward.
Mm-hmm.
You first give, because the one that gives eventually receives, because the cycle closes. Versus if you just want to get, you're taking from somebody, and that's totally different vibe. So yeah, so good, man, so good. I would say the same.
And even with that, it's like, if I tell it to someone, usually their first response is like, oh, well, someone's going to take advantage of it, or someone's going to, whatever. And it's like, there's always going to be that percentage. But then the good thing is, once you can, like, and there'll be even people like with us, like they'll take full advantage. They'll go through all the programs. They'll get in and join. They'll get access to all of our programs, and they'll immediately quit. And it's like, okay, for that one person, no big deal, because I'll never talk to that person again. Nothing against them, but it's like, I know what that person's mentality is. I will never have to waste my time with that person. But then for the other 99% of people that actually do want to learn and want to benefit from what we can offer, I'll talk to them all day long. So it's a good process of elimination that initially you're like, well, I'm going to waste money on that person. And it's like, well, it's good because you get rid of that person out of your life forever. You'll never talk to them again. But again, I've been in sales before this, so I'm with you. I'm big on sales. So
it's 100%. I think it's the best learning ground, man. We learn so much and a lot about mindset just through the practicality. I didn't even know why I'm doing something, but I was just doing it because it closed the sale. Then when I got older, I started to think, and I was like, damn, that really has a bigger meaning. That's how the universe works.
Yeah.
Hey, what would you say to a successful businessman?
I think it would be just a simple question. It's like, if you had to go back when you first started, what advice would you give your younger self? Like if I had to think back of when I first started trading, what advice I would tell myself, I'd be like, okay, hold Berkshire Hathaway, hold Apple when you bought it at pre-split at $8 a share. Like, just hold all these names much longer, than you did initially. A lot of those names you bought, you bought Apple pre-split at 8. Now it's at 500. Like, a lot of these trades, even for how small of an investment it was, I bought 1 share of Apple back in whenever I was 15, so 15 years ago. It was $80 a share. It cost me $15 in commission. That $80 investment now would probably be worth like $4,000 or $5,000. But it took 15 years for that to happen. So even for me now, it's like to think of a lot of these, when you can find these good quality names that you can really hold, they can be these dramatic returns, but you have to realize it could take a decade to have a 10,000% return or a 5,000% return. And most people don't have the patience to do that. And even myself, I have difficulty doing the same thing I'm telling my younger self. But that would be something I'd want to
Yep.
tell the younger guy, or if I could tell myself when I was 15, it's just being much more patient than you can expect. And especially in both of our markets, how quickly it is to trade, how there's no cost of admission, there's no commissions anymore, everything is free.
Yeah.
It's making trading that much harder to hold the proper investments because it's so easy to hit sell. You know, when I
Yeah.
started trading $20 to buy, when you had $80 to invest, you know, buy and sell today might go up 50%,
You
you
think
break
twice.
even. Yeah. So now that as good as free commissions are, there is that flip side that will make the person wildly impatient with the ease to just blow out of the market with the click of a button without cost prohibiting from doing so. But that would be my main piece of advice. Just what could you tell your younger self to better improve?
100%. Amazing stuff. More patient. Yeah, that's what was killing my businesses all along. I built it up and broke it down just because I was impatient. But I think that comes a lot of times, bro, you're confident. Look at you, man. Look at yourself in the mirror and you're gonna, you know what I mean? You are you, bro. Of course, you're so confident. You build up so many wins. You can now trust the process. You know, you now can be patient because you know that whatever you think of, whatever you decide, that decision is eventually gonna get you to your end goal because you're confident. I can understand the younger people. Um, you have to build up your confidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to start stacking your small wins. So when I get my guys, I don't know how you guys tackle that stuff, but I think it has much to do with putting on a suit, having your nice trim, just being handsome as you can be to be ready for the market. But you
Yeah.
you could easily just be in a t-shirt, right? What I do with them is I get them through a mindset challenge, but they have to be like just stacking small wins throughout the day and just keep it consistent for like 30 days. And that really builds, the confidence that your subconscious starts telling you, hey, if you say something, we now trust you that we're gonna do it. Because you know how it is. It's you. And let's say you think of a car right now. Can you think of a car?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm in one right now,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. Woo. What kind of car is this, man?
This is a 1951 Mercury Coupe.
I fucking love it. I saw it by the roof. I was like, man, what
Yeah,
is this car?
yeah,
Fucking love it.
it's old school.
Yes,
Got the dice
class,
on
my
and
friend.
everything.
Class,
Yeah.
class, class. I just got my Jeep, 83 Jeep.
Oh, I saw that. Sick.
Man, it's so cool. I'm driving it now for a week. It's so amazing. So the point is, you think of a car, but you can think of yourself thinking of that car, right?
Yeah,
So it's not
because
only you, the
you're future
thinker.
pacing.
Yeah, it's somebody observing. It's you observing yourself thinking. So now that is two of you. Is somebody that says, hey, we're gonna go for a dinner today, and that is somebody that's observing all of this thought process and commitments. So if you have a friend and let's say you tell me, hey, tomorrow dinner 8 p.m., we bring our girls and we go to this fine place, I make a reservation, I don't show up, you call me, you text me, I'm like, I don't answer, or maybe I text you back like, hey, bro, I'm a little tired. Let's reschedule for next week, bro. Do you still trust me? Do you
No.
still have confidence in me that I'm gonna do what we agree upon, man? But we constantly do this to ourselves on a daily basis with these small commitments. Hey, I'm gonna watch TV for 15 minutes. I'm gonna take a break, but then something comes up and you don't take that break. For you and me, I think that's much common. And there is a whole another world out there when you can really hold your word to yourself for like 30 days, 21 days, develop a habit, blah blah blah.
Mm.
Do the stuff that you don't want to do for 30 days, man. It's like night and day. Let's say you're here where you are right now, you think that you're the best self you can possibly be, you try this mindset challenge. It's totally free, whatever. Holding your word to yourself for 30 days, man, you're gonna be unrecognizable.
Yeah,
You're
I think
gonna be unrecognizable.
there's like two main points I think you hit on with that. One is the future pacing. So you talk about you envision yourself in the car. So like for me, growing up, I always wanted an Aston Martin. So I always envisioned
Ooh.
myself buying one. Everyone was like, you're getting out of college, you can't buy one. And I was like, okay, well, within a year of me graduating college, I'm gonna have an Aston Martin. And fast forward 8 months later, I had a business that was working. I had enough to put, crazy down payment down. I bought the car. That was done. So it was like the future pacing, me saying like, you keep saying I can't do this. I'm not to prove you wrong, but I want to prove myself right. And the other thing I think you were talking about was, and something that we use is if, when, and then statements. So again, I don't really watch TV, but if someone say watch TV and they want to read more, it's like, okay, well, if I want to watch TV, that's when I'm going to read one page of a book first. And it's just to start that habit. I don't want you to read the whole book. I don't want you to read the whole chapter. Just read one page, because it's just getting in, like, it's that the inertia to sit down and open the book is the hardest part. Once you open it and the phone's in the other room, you're going to finish chapter anyways. So, if I want to watch TV, that's when I'm going to read one page. And then you'll more likely not even watch TV after that anyways. But it gets you in that same process. Someone wants to go to the gym. If I want to have ice cream tonight, that's when I have to go to the gym first. Then I can have it. So you give yourself these, like, and they're like easy statements where, like, and people know their own Achilles heel, and you can form this if, when, then statement, and you can say it really quick, and it's like, all right, you know what? Let me just get it done with and get it over with. And it's all right. If getting over with means like running 2 miles or reading that one page or scanning a couple charts, and you keep doing that every single time you want to do the bad habit, it's going to eventually take over. And we have that big emphasis with reading. A lot of our guys, like, I've had endless stories of guys who are like, I haven't read a book in 10 years. I've read 10 this year. I've read 20. I've read 50. Yeah. Where that's one of those habits where it's when you can replace whatever was taking up your time somewhere else and replace it with this, eventually you just pick it up on your own. But like you said, it takes a couple weeks, takes a month to get in that habit. And if you start with it small, you don't make it crazy, it's easy to pick that up. Versus, oh, I'm going to read 5 books in a day. It's like, no, you're not. Unless you have nothing else to do, you're probably not going to read 5 books. But you can read one page. Anyone can, So I think you hit on two very good points: future pacing and the if, when, then statements.
Hey, while you're mentioning books, what's the book that had the most influence on you?
So I was thinking about that before I saw your email with a couple of these questions, and it was hard to a lot. But I think one very easy to read. I actually brought it. Is The Go Giver. There's like a whole series on them. Very easy read, maybe 150 pages. And this goes back to that principle we talked about earlier about giving first. Offering to help that, the prospect to the client or the customer first, and then later on trying to win their business. And this book really emphasized that story. And there's a whole series. There's The Go Giver for this. There's The Go Giver for marketing, for leadership, for sales.
Which one was for you the best?
I read them all. The Go Giver, this is like the initial book, and then the rest of the series, they just kind of like branch off. One gear starts marketing, one gear starts leadership, sales. But this is like the main one where you meet Pindar. That's like the main character. He's like the old wise man that gives us this like sage advice. But I think it's a very easy read. I think you could read it probably in an hour. But that would be definitely my first recommendation for nothing trading related. That's more for, starting a business.
What would you say about trading? Is it what do you do? You do technical analysis, or you do the So
all technical analysis. No
we're
indicators.
Much alike, my friend. We are much alike.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's not. It's just resistance is at 100. I'm buying through 100. Like I could even one of our last videos that we put up, my partner explained 4 of his trades last week, 4 swing trades, took him less than 1 minute, and not like he rushed through it. It was just I'm buying through 100. My stop was 99. I was selling at 104. I should have held more. I could have trailed it. Next one. Okay, I bought it through here. Boom. Very simple. 1 minute to explain 4 trades. You're asking a new trader to explain 1 trade. It takes them 9 hours. They got to explain the Federal Reserve, what's going on Twitter, the moon cycle, the RSI and the MACD, and what the girlfriend's doing. And it's like none of that stuff matters. It's just all noise. So we've just filtered and simplified our process, so which is very repeatable. It's very easy to look at a chart, see the resistance, and buy through it and repeat that process. Then trying to answer those 25 questions that you think you have to answer before every single trade. But again, that just comes from, again, when I first started, I was that same way. I had to have all those crazy indicators. I had to have the crazy theories on monetary policy and what's going on in the world. And at the end of the day, it's just, most of it's all just talk.
Yeah. I'm smiling because I'm doing the same with my guys. If some of my guys are watching, they're gonna know it's like a 5-step thought process before entering the trade, and literally then they make a video about it. It's like a video log, and it's like a 1 minute to 1 minute and a half maximum long log which is the whole thought process, each and every thought that goes through your mind before you take the trade. So when you say that the guy is taking it in 1 minute, it's just like 100%. That's how it's done. Why I support this so much is, first of all, if you have your trading plan, you know exactly what you're looking for. If you don't have it, you shouldn't be in the market. You know what I mean? If you are disciplined, you're gonna just be looking for that. You're not gonna be, looking for the old philosophies about the moon cycles, like you said. And third of all, whatever comes first to your mind is usually the best. Just like you go to the shop, you see the suit, first one catches your eye, boom, that's the one. But then you scan all four or five shops, spend the whole day just to go back to buy that suit that catched your eye the first. And I think with trading, bro, the higher guidance comes from that first feeling, first glance, especially for somebody that's been in the market for a few months at least, because you have all that data, you've seen all that candles, you know how the market moves. But when you try to justify it, saying, "Hey, why am I thinking like that?" That's when you become, a news reporter on Bloomberg, and you just try to.
Yeah. And even with that, we were talking about journaling before the trade. We use like a free site. It's called stockshare.com, and it's like a trading journal. And you probably could even use it for Forex, where you can enter in your buys, you enter in your sells, and it even like shows your stats. It'll show, okay, well, you're right, 40% of the time. When you're right, you make 5%. When you're wrong, you lose 1%. And you'll see your stats, and then from there, it's very simple. Word document or Google Doc, and I do this every single day. My partner does this as well, and most of our members do. And you just post a little screenshot of your chart, circle your entry, circle your exit, green circle and a red circle. Very simple. It doesn't mean to the penny, but to give you an idea, so you can see that chart and say, okay, look, I bought 100, my stop was 99, I sold it at 105, but the stock went to 150. What did I do wrong? Okay, well, I sold into strength. I didn't trail my winner. I could have sold some into strength, but held some back, back to break even, willing, for a bigger move. And then when you look back, you go back a week, look through the trades, look back a month or a year, you'll start to see your own mistakes. You'll be like, oh, you know what? I shouldn't have bought there. I shouldn't have sold there. I sold too soon. I sold too late. I gave back too much. You'll see your own mistakes, because you could put you, me, my partner, all your members and all my members in the same exact investment, and we would all trade it differently because we all have different goals, different mindsets, different executions. But the main thing is you have to just focus. A lot of people, they want to beat the market, and that's great. But first, you got to figure out what your mistakes are, because the market isn't going to care. So if I can figure out that I do much better just trailing my winners, meaning I'm going to buy up through resistance and then just trail my stop every day, move it up. I'm not going to look to sell into strength. I know selling into strength is my weakness. After looking at thousands of trades, I know not to do that. I know for my partner, though, he's the reverse. He is one of the best traders I know that can sell into strength. But he might not be the best at, moving his stops up.
But you do.
So we're like, he's offense and I'm defense, where the market's cooking. He's, okay, guys, we're buying this, or I'm buying this and I'm selling here. And then I can be the one like, okay, guys, you guys are all in and I'm in with you guys. And here's my stop. Here's why I'm going to get out when I think I'm going to be wrong. So you can play kind of both sides of the fence, but it comes down to looking at yourself and realizing that if you lost money in a trade, it was not the market's fault. It was not your broker's fault. It wasn't the sun's fault. It wasn't anyone else's fault. It wasn't the president or the Fed chairman. You hit buy, you hit sell. It was 100% your fault. And when you're right, you're going to take the credit anyway. You're not going to benefit. You're not going to say the market made you money. You made yourself money. But when you're wrong, you have to also realize that you're the reason why you lost money. And that's a very hard thing for most new traders to be willing to admit. And that's what even when new traders will DM us, we'll read their complaint and we'll know it's like, I don't want to deal with this person because they're going to blame everyone else. You have to be willing to
They're never going to get it until they get it.
Yeah.
100%. Hey, what is the product you're currently working on?
So it's just our service, Trading Experts. We actually just launched it in Spanish. Again, I don't speak Spanish at all, but we have a lot of members from the Latin community, and they were asking us. And for me, I was like, I would love to teach people, but I don't speak the language, so I don't know how I'm going to answer the questions. And we have enough members that they're like, we'll run it. Like we've had them translate the programs into Spanish. We're working on the videos. That's a little bit harder, but we have all of our programs translated into Spanish. And then we have a group of mentors that speak Spanish fluently, where we have members joining in Spanish. And I'm looking in the group chat. I'm like, I don't know anything they're saying because I can't speak it, but eventually I'll learn it just because of this. but that's been one of the cool things that we've been just getting feedback from like our guys, like how can we improve? And that was one of them. And even like we're doing this interview with you, that was one of our big mistakes initially was we didn't do as many videos. Our big focus has been on reading. So we've geared a lot of our initial programs focused on reading. And now we've slowly started to realize that some of the things it's much easier to explain in a 1-minute video than a 5-page written lesson. So we've gone back in and started to sub out some of those written lessons for video ones. And just like you, we've been, we do one every single week, every Monday after the close. My partner, we go through the broad market, our outlook for the week ahead. We go through our member ideas for the week. We go through our top ideas. We go through our best and worst trades. We go over our book of the week. And one of the big improvements we're making going forward, and our guys on the guys, we're going to start asking them to send us what their best and worst trades were so we can go over their trades as well. So other people can see not only the few names that I'm trading or my partner are trading, we can also see the rest of our group. We can look at Carl's trade and figure out how he made 400% or 500% in MNRA when I didn't make anything in it because I wasn't in it. So those were like some of the things that we're working on. And our big thing is just getting constant feedback from our guys, from the free people, from our free members, VIP members, figuring out how we can improve our service, just like with what you're doing as well.
Of course, man, you are the product. And if people can see you and hear you, they're going to feel you much better than if they're just reading you. 100%.
Yeah, of course.
100%. Yeah. Okay. Where can people get your course, your stuff?
I think the easiest way to find us is you just find us on social media at Trading Experts. In our bio, if you click in it, you can join the free group. From there, again, if you DM us, I'll DM you the link to download our app. Again, everything's Trading Experts. You go to the App Store, you search Trading Experts, the app will come up. TradingExperts.org is our website. YouTube at Trading Experts. Anything at Trading Experts, you'll find us. But the easiest way is just to DM us, and then I can get you into the group. I can get the programs to you, and we can get started that way. That's the easiest.